The morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabite.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Adesua.
Good morning.
Yes. My friend Rufai.
Morning.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Let's start with this day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of records. Yes, the lead story. Fearing accountability, Christian Association of Nigeria steps up agitation against CAMA. Writes Buhari to stop implementation. Law not to repress any religion, says presidential aide. Now, other newspapers are also reporting this development. The New Telegraph, Buhari to CAN, suspend CAMA implementation, says it fails to accommodate churches' position. Presidency, act not targeted at religious bodies. The Nigerian Tribune also, CAN writes, Buhari wants CAMA suspended. Act not targeted at churches. CAN can sponsor amendment bill to it, says presidency. Now, the other subject of the day, electricity tariff. The Nigerian Tribune has that, this Daily Sun, the Daily Sun newspaper has the lead story there, outrage as electricity tariff rises from 22 naira to 66 naira per kilowatt per hour. Consumers cry as new duty takes effect. Now, the Daily Trust has similar story. Nigerians kick as discos hike electricity tariff. Increase marks another chapter of difficulties. Consumer. More money for power suppliers. Manufacturers. Labor. Others reject hike. While the Nation newspaper, NLC, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, kick as discos increase electricity tariff. Labor is dead on arrival. Organized private sector to meet full cost-effective tariff by July 2021. Now the Daily Independent newspaper, consumers kick as new electricity tariff takes off. NLC vows to mobilize workers to resist increase. Other issues in today's newspapers, the Vanguard newspaper, constitutional review. Yoruba group backs Northern elders, tackles Senate. Yoruba Summit group agrees with Northern Elders Forum on wastefulness of National Assembly. Constitutional review. 2023 election will be a farce without restructuring. PANDEF insists on implementing the 2014 National Conference recommendation. Nationwide consensus will make more impact. Igbo Group. Now, the Punch newspaper. Water resources. Confusion over bill as reps leaders disagree over hearing. We will shoot it down again. Southern Middle Belt lawmakers mobilize against bill. Public hearing held in 8th Assembly. We won't hold another committee chair. While the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's The Guardian newspaper, foreign investors hijack rights issues. Ownership structure threatened. 5 firms raised 300 billion naira from capital market. Local investors unable to take up rights. Blame bad economy, COVID-19, shareholders say. Now, the foreign newspapers, if we look at the Daily Mail of UK, yes, as thousands of children return to school, railways, roads, and offices stand empty. And the story there, they are back at work. The children are back to school. Where is the rest of UK? Of course, the children returned to school yesterday in the UK. 90% attendance, that's the report. above 90% in fact. But the train stations are still empty even at usually rush hours. Workers are still at home. The excuse that they were taking care of their children, the children are back to school, but the workers are yet to return to work in the UK. Yes. Now, the Independent newspaper of UK has another story. UK heading for no-deal Brexit, Johnson signals. He's blaming the EU for using stumbling block to further negotiation. While if we move over to the United States of America, the Washington Post is reporting Trump visits city hit by riots. Yes, President Trump on Tuesday inserted himself, according to this report, into a city already rolled up in police shooting. And of course, what President Trump was trying to do here is to highlight, is using this visit to highlight his hand-on law and order message, which his handlers believe they have an advantage over challenger Democratic candidate Joe Biden. Now, if we come to the Nigerian stories, starting from this day once again, the lead story there, fearing accountability. Christian Association of Nigeria steps up agitation against CAMA. Are the church leaders afraid of accountability? Ruben, you know where I will stand as an elder. We are not afraid of accountability. Should there be accountability in the church? Yes, yes, and yes. Who should supervise this? Perhaps that is where the debate is. But the point the church leaders are making is a very strong one, that the possibility of the Registrar General at some point taking over and appointing trustees for the church is what perhaps is agitating the minds of church leaders. But again, it has been suggested they can sponsor an amendment. The vice president advised them to approach the National Assembly as a pastor himself. And, Ruben, Rufai, and Adesua, you cannot crucify church leaders for protesting.
No, no. Everybody has a right to protest. We can't crucify anybody. And every bill or act of, Parliament is a working action. And that's why it's subject to reviews. You can write rebuttals here and there. It's all part of the citizen action. So you can't crucify everybody. But you ask a very valid question. Are they afraid of accountability? Yes, you can speak for yourself in some regard that, I am not afraid of accountability based on the fact that you are in the church fold. But can some others say the same? Can we truly bring out the books and look at it critically? Because there's been this argument for and against about the way it's done in the UK. How you can, even when you pay your tithe in the UK, it's filed as a charity donation and things like that. But can we say the same in Nigeria? Can we say the same in Nigeria? It's a critical question I want to ask. There are great men of God doing good work, as regards impacting and helping society. But is it all? Does it cut across board? And they have a strong point too when they come out to say things about, who should lead this process. The process at which, that it can be taken to court and somebody will come in from externally to lead the church and things like that. But my point and my grouse has always been, the personal accountability of those people that are not doing the right thing. Those people that are seeing this as a way of just to, funnel money and take it, for their personal aggrandizement. And we see it across board. It's fast becoming a new, thing around town where, leaders of these religious or charitable bodies, as it were, are amassing wealth. We're seeing private jets. We're seeing, people that we know the congregation is largely poor, amassing private jets. On what account is that written on? All right? Or what balance sheet is that private jet being taken on? That's the question I want to ask. I'm not saying pervasively across board. We'll go for a quick break. We'll come back and talk about this. So I've made my point on the first point. Secondly, the reason why people are not back to work in the UK is very obvious. There were holidays, but apart from that, they've been saying they are not content. They are still looking at COVID-19 as a factor. The economy is just getting on rebound. That's why they're not back to work.
Yeah, they can push their children to school.
But they can push their children to school. That's another factor that we have to watch. Let's not forget, they tried opening at some point. The children have to come back home. Is it safe now? Is it better? Only time will tell. If the rate of positivity increases, then it's a conversation we might want to have again. The third conversation on Trump, yes, he went to Kenosha yesterday. You know, tried as much as possible to put his face as the law and order candidate. But I'll ask 3 questions. Is he truly the law and order candidate? Will this truly end gun violence, and police brutality? How well did Trump try to bring down the crisis and bring down the crisis nationally? Because we saw Kenosha. Another one is brewing. I talked about it yesterday in California. Another person was shot by the police. I don't know when protesters will get there. All of a sudden, you see, the fires of gun violence keeps erupting like little aftershocks after any major earthquake. And that's the way it's been in America, leading up to the election.
Well, Trump is saying that one bad cop don't spoil the whole bunch.
We know one bad cop don't spoil the whole bunch. But let's be very honest with ourselves. Let's go back in time. How did this come about? Laws of segregation. Let's not forget that. Laws of segregation. The fact that the blacks were not respected. Even after the Civil War, there was supposed to be a reconstruction, and they botched the reconstruction. Most Southern leaders and Southern politicians botched the reconstruction. That thing snowballed and cascaded into some laws in the South.
Well, Rufai, so much to talk about America.
It's
a
trajectory. Efeni,
yes.
Let me comment on 2 major issues that you have raised this morning. I had already commented on the petition by the Christian Association of Nigeria with regard to CAMA 2020. So these are additional comments. And to just add that, one, it's good that the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria is not resorting to self-help, because there were some pastors, church leaders, who had been issuing threats that if anybody should activate Section 839, subsections 1 and 2 of the CAMA 2020, that they will see the other side of their character.
The other side of their character cannot be a Christian character.
Well, whatever it is. So it's good that there is dialogue, and that they have, the leadership has approached the federal government. And as I said earlier, Senator Enan, the president's liaison officer with the National Assembly, he spoke well by pointing out that, look, the law is not targeted at the church. It's just for incorporated trustees generally, be they churches or mosques or non-governmental organizations. And I think that clarification is important. The church leaders raised a point that they were not consulted. And I had pointed out earlier that there was public hearing. And people should always seek to take advantage of public hearings. Now, whether their submissions are carried along or incorporated into the emergent legislation, that's another issue entirely. But it's good to see them having a conversation with government. Now that the law is in place, the true test of it is in its implementation. It's not been implemented yet. We've not seen any major issue yet. But I think that one other option that is also available to the aggrieved stakeholders in the NGO community, or if you like, the CSO community, or in the religious community, will be to go to court. Because they are asking President Buhari to suspend the implementation of the law. I do not know whether indeed the head of the executive arm of government has such powers to unilaterally, individually, suspend an act of parliament that has already moved from being a bill to an act.
Another option, they can sponsor an amendment.
Yeah,
it has been suggested.
As Vice President Yemi Osinbajo suggested. So they have to look at those procedures. What they are protesting about is in order, they have a right as citizens, as stakeholders, to say we think this law does not serve our interests. They are raising issues about the law being inimical to national interest, to national security. Well, I don't know. That's their interpretation. But there are also other stakeholders who quarrel with other sections of the law, sections which we have already pointed out on this program. Now, the other issue you raised, front page story, is about the the electricity tariff.
Yes.
Now, the NERC, Rutu Sudiri, when he came with Africa Business headlines, told us that the NERC has signed, in a statement signed by Professor Momo, who is the chairman of the NERC board, says that, look, the step that the NERC has taken with regard to MITO, multi-year tariff order, is in the interest of average consumers, people who consume electricity less than 12 hours per day, and that is not in any way against the average consumer of electricity. However, the Sun story, the Sun newspaper story that you quoted, indicates that indeed this review of electricity tariff is not actually in the interest of electricity consumers. In Lagos, from paying about 21 naira, it has moved to about 52 naira per unit of electricity.
Yes.
In Kaduna Electric will now charge as much as 62 naira per unit of electricity that is supplied. Now, the question to ask the NERC is that, is there a mechanism in place for monitoring the additional conditions that they outlined in that statement that was signed by Professor John Momo? They say, for example, that there must be consultation between the DISCO and the consumers. Now, who is going to monitor that consultation? They have talked about metering, that there must be metering. Now, the president of Nigeria has said import levy on meters has been suspended for 1 year.
Yes.
Now, if you now say now that you are doing cost-reflective tariffs before that 1 year deadline that the president of Nigeria has given, who is going to monitor it to ensure the third point made by Professor Momo, that there will be no estimated billing? If you don't have a meter, who is going to ensure that there will be no estimated billing? So there are issues that we need to worry about in this latest development with electricity. It may not be true, as the NERC claims, that the interest of the consumer is being protected. And I've asked, in all of this, the DISCOs have been very quiet. We have had regulations by the CBN with regard to loans and finances. We have had statements from the presidency about import levy, and the DISCOs, they've been very quiet for at least 2 weeks now. So where are they in this matter? Are they also planning something against the consumer?
You mean the DISCOs?
Yes, they've not spoken.
They don't need to speak.
What do you want them to say?
Everything is going in their favor. So why should they talk?
No, not necessarily. Where do they stand in this matter?
They stand on increase the tariff.
We would like to hear from them.
Their stand is very clear.
Because it's their officials that will be attacked by
No, they won't be attacked. They should not be attacked.
Okay.
There's a substituting judgment that if you don't have meter, don't pay any bill. There's a substituting court judgment to that effect. And I think
it's not the DISCO supplying the meters, it's the meter access providers who are doing that, and they don't seem to be performing. So there are issues that need to be addressed in that electricity sector.
Yes.
Beyond all these occasional press releases by the CBN and NERC.
This was the egg and the chicken situation. We've been asking, improve electricity supply before you increase.
Indeed. I mean,
now they have increased without improving.
Where is that done? Which should come first? And I think as a consumer, and a lot of people will agree with me, it should be, improvements in...
Adesua, you pay electricity bills?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Abati.
Of course I do.
As a responsible citizen, you do.
Thank you very much. So I think that Nigerians generally will pay for better services when you deliver to them. And it is about time we start to treat the Nigerian consumers as the king. We're talking about cable TV today and the regulatory agency just waking up from slumber to say that the consumers should be treated better. But really, when will we start to treat Nigerian consumers better? Emmanuel Efeni, there's another front page headline for this day that I would like to talk about.
Yes,
and that's the Edo election. And
you must be concerned with your homestead. Please go ahead.
And INEC, you know, what INEC has to say. You know, there's been that allegation about rigging ahead of the election, favoring parties involved. But INEC was responding. We also know that a particular Resident Electoral Commissioner has been mentioned in all of this. He has now said he's going to take legal action because he was not even in the state when the allegation was made. But particularly, the police has mentioned that political parties are trying so hard to delegitimize government authorities involved in electoral processes. And I think that it's clear for everybody to see that the police was referring to INEC. So political parties ahead of these elections are already throwing darts to say INEC is going to rig this election. This is very dangerous rhetoric ahead of the election. It is undermining the process before the process itself begins. Okay. You know, I think it's a sad situation we are seeing developing in Edo State.
And quickly, I just want to, still on Edo State, I just want to say commiserations on the lives lost yesterday.
Yes.
The Adams Oshomole. His convoy, 2 aides were lost. I hear
two policemen.
Two policemen, they are suspended the campaign.
A trailer rammed into the convoy.
Into them. Very sorry about that. Sad. We pray for the repose of the souls and most importantly for the families of those people that lost their life. Very sad scene there.
And of course, the governor has also sent his commiseration to the bereaved families.
Yeah. Well, Efeni, I think another story on the front page of this day, your favorite newspaper.
Yes, the newspaper. Go ahead.
It's the story about Naira gaining at the parallel market.
Yes.
With CBN's planned intervention.
Yes.
I think that's a story that will be of great interest to many Nigerians, particularly Nigerians who import from abroad.
Yeah, I think because the Bureau de Change are now being supplied with forex.
Yes.
And that is partly responsible for this.
Starting from September 5. Yes. And in the parallel market, the Naira is appreciating. It dropped from about 475 to the dollar in the last 2 days to about 430 Naira to the dollar. We hope that with the CBN's intervention, you know, we'll have a better situation with regard to not just liquidity, but also with the demand for the unification of the foreign exchange regime in Nigeria. And hopefully, this will be of benefit to not just consumers, but also to all of us. The only people who may probably lose are the foreign exchange speculators who have to quickly offload whatever they have now before it drops.
Yes.
I don't know whether you are one of those foreign speculators. No. If you have some dollars stashed away somewhere, this is the time for you to move very quickly.
Funny enough, Dr.
Ruben, I don't play in that league.
Funny enough, Dr. Abati, I knew it was going to happen, and I offloaded quickly.
Okay. Oh, you have a dollar.
Dollar man.
You have a stash of dollars.
What did you say?
You are a forex speculator. Okay. When I'm broke, I know who to go to.
Exactly.
Ruben,
get me out of that.
Well, there's a story in the front page of the Vanguard newspaper that should interest not only Igbos, but all who are interested in the presidency come 2023. 2023, that's the Vanguard newspaper. Ethnicity not factor for presidential ticket, says Hope Uzodinma. And the last time I checked, Hope Uzodinma is still the governor of Imo State. They call them the Heartland State, the Heartland of Igbo. And this looks like a knock on those clamoring for Igbo presidency. I'm sure he will get some reposts in the days ahead that is not being patriotic as an Igbo man. At the time, the entire Igbo nation is clamoring, he's saying ethnicity not a factor.
Okay, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you. That's all on Headlines.